What if I told you that over 1,000 years ago, the head of the Catholic Church, a pope, was rumored to have built a talking bronze head, summoned spirits, and mastered ancient forbidden sciences, passed down from the Arabs, and buried under Vatican silence? This is not fiction. This is the chilling legend of Pope Sylvester II, the so-called Sorcerer Pope. Was he a misunderstood genius? Or did he truly strike a pact with the infernal? The story of Pope Sylvester II, the Sorcerer Pope, is a forgotten tale of forbidden knowledge, mechanical marvels, and whispered pacts with dark forces. A tale whispered through the corridors of medieval Europe. Was the first French Pope of the Catholic Church a sorcerer? And a prophecy that not even the most brilliant mind could escape? Or simply a man ahead of his time, punished by myth for knowing too much? Where forbidden knowledge, mechanical marvels, and demonic whispers converge in the shadow of the Church. The Sorcerer Pope. Did Sylvester II really use a talking demon head? Born around 946 AD in the region of Aquitaine, Gerbert of Aurillac entered a world that was cloaked in feudal turbulence and intellectual decay, a period the historians would later dub the Dark Ages. But Gerbert was no ordinary monk. Even as a youth, he displayed a voracious hunger for hidden knowledge, a curiosity that set him apart from the cloistered minds of his era. His quest for illumination led him across the Pyrenees into the enigmatic libraries of Catalonia, lands still echoing with the intellectual resonance of Al-Andalus. There, under the guidance of Moorish scholars, Gerbert was introduced to the arcane sciences, astronomy, mathematics, harmonics, and the sacred geometries once guarded by the ancient Greeks, now preserved in Arabic script. He encountered tools unheard of in Christendom: the astrolabe, capable of mapping the heavens; the monochord, a mystical instrument used to teach the harmony of the spheres; and most subversively, the Hindu-Arabic numerals, which carried not just mathematical utility, but symbolic resonance in Kabbalistic and Hermetic traditions. To the Church, these were suspicious artifacts, too precise, too unnatural, too foreign. Visual: ancient gears turning, diagrams of celestial orbits, Arabic annotations layered with Latin marginalia. Gerbert's mind became a bridge between worlds: East and West, faith and logic, divine revelation and hidden wisdom. His understanding of ratio and techne, of how the cosmos operated in both mystical and mechanical dimensions, elevated him beyond the average scholar, and that made him dangerous. This polymathic brilliance did not go unnoticed. His rise through the Church was swift. Advisor to emperors, head of cathedral schools, master of rhetoric and logic. But in the year 999 AD, a year already laced with apocalyptic dread, Gerbert was elevated to the highest throne in Christendom. He became Pope Sylvester II, the first French pope, perhaps the most learned man in Europe. And yet, behind his vestments lingered whispers of forbidden knowledge and devilish devices. To the fearful, this was not the ascent of a holy man, but the enthronement of a magician. Among the most chilling and captivating legends surrounding Gerbert of Aurillac, Pope Sylvester II, is the tale of the brazen head, a mysterious metallic automaton said to speak with uncanny clarity. According to medieval chroniclers, such as William of Malmesbury, this mechanical oracle could answer any question posed to it with a simple yes or no. But this was no ordinary invention. The head was said to have been forged through the convergence of astral science, forbidden geometry, and whispers of necromantic ritual. It was rumored Gerbert acquired the knowledge to create such a thing not from monks or bishops, but from Saracen philosophers, scholars of ancient Babylonian, Egyptian, and Hermetic traditions. In some versions of the tale, he is said to have stolen the secret from a hidden grimoire guarded in Cordoba or under the sands of Almeria, inscribed in symbols only the initiated could decode. The brazen head was not merely a machine. To those in his time, it was a transgression, a breach of the sacred boundary between man and divine mystery. The head became a symbol of mankind's audacity to command the forces of heaven and hell through intellect alone. In occult symbolism, the talking head is akin to the golem, the homunculus, or even the oracle of Delphi, an entity constructed or channeled to speak divine or perhaps infernal truth. Yet Gerbert's device was different. It was cold, calculated, precise, yes or no. No parables, no mysteries, only binary judgment. And this binary voice emerged not from divine revelation, but from brass gears and coded mechanics. To the faithful of the 11th century, this was terrifying. If a pope could make a machine that knew, what else might he control? Might he bend fate, alter prophecy? Could he bypass divine judgment altogether? Some whispered that Gerbert had made a pact, not with God, but with the fallen, that the head was not merely mechanical, but possessed, animated by a spirit or a jinn, bound by ritual. It was said that only he could ask it questions, and only once. And when he finally asked it how long he had to live, the answer, so the story goes, was cryptic and terrifying enough that Gerbert collapsed in terror. But beneath the fear lies a deeper truth. The legend of the brazen head reflects a medieval anxiety that knowledge, especially secret, esoteric knowledge, might upend the church's authority. That revelation might come not from heaven, but from within a man's mind, or worse, from the machine. This tale, preserved in cloistered libraries and whispered in cathedral halls, blurs the line between genius and heresy, between divine inspiration and technological sorcery. But perhaps no tale haunts the legacy of Pope Sylvester II more than that of Meridiana, the enigmatic succubus with whom he was said to have forged a pact. Described in medieval folklore as both a demoness of immense beauty and a keeper of forbidden knowledge, Meridiana is no ordinary tempter. In many arcane traditions, she represents the astral feminine, an embodiment of Venusian forces, lunar secrets, and occult intuition. Some esoteric scholars equate her with Lilith, or Sophia's fallen shadow, a divine intelligence cast down for desiring independence from the heavenly host. According to the lore, Gerbert, unsatisfied with the limits of ecclesiastical learning, invoked Meridiana through rituals of the left-hand path, perhaps rooted in Hermetic necromancy or Arabian planetary magic. In exchange for his devotion, Meridiana offered not carnal pleasures alone, but tactical insight, occult secrets, and mystical passageways to power. She is said to have guided him, disguised in dreams and mirrored chambers, from monk to scholar, from scholar to archbishop, and ultimately to the papal throne itself in the year 999 AD. A year already trembling with apocalyptic expectation, but all contracts carry a clause. One version of the legend claims that Meridiana, jealous of Gerbert's rising fame, revealed the nature of their pact to others, thus condemning him. Another suggests that she demanded he never step foot in Jerusalem, the symbolic seat of divine judgment. And when Gerbert did, whether through forgetfulness or defiance, the demons came to claim their due. From an esoteric lens, this tale is more than titillation or medieval slander. Meridiana, as archetype, reveals the hidden cost of illumination. She is the gatekeeper of the threshold, the initiatrix of the abyss, testing whether the seeker is worthy to wield knowledge unsanctioned by priest or pope. Her presence in Gerbert's legend also speaks to a deeper anxiety, that the divine feminine, when unbound from church dogma, becomes a terrifying force, empowering, liberating, but uncontrollable. And so, to some medieval minds, Gerbert was not merely a rogue scholar or magician, but a cautionary figure, a Luciferian archetype who sought to be like God through intellect rather than revelation. Yet perhaps, for those who seek truth beyond the veil, his story offers a different lesson, that knowledge is a fire, and every torchbearer must one day reckon with the shadows it casts. Legend holds that the brazen head, or perhaps the whispering voice of Meridiana herself, warned Pope Sylvester II of his fate. He would not live beyond the day he celebrated Mass in Jerusalem. In an era when prophecy was inseparable from providence, such a warning was not merely symbolic, it was absolute. Gerbert, whose intellect had conquered mathematics, astronomy, and even the secrets of mechanics, dared not test the limits of fate itself. And so, he made a vow, never to set foot in the Holy Land. Yet fate, in the most ironic and esoteric twist, does not always require geography to fulfill prophecy. In the year 1003, while conducting Mass in Rome, Gerbert stood at the altar of Santa Croce in Jerusalem, a basilica whose name translates as Holy Cross, in Jerusalem. The church, though thousands of miles from the actual city, was built to house relics brought from Calvary by Empress Helena, mother of Constantine. It was considered by many to be Jerusalem in spirit, and there, within the sacred architecture that echoed his forbidden knowledge and haunted ascent, Gerbert faltered. He fell ill during Mass and died shortly thereafter. To the initiated, this is more than coincidence. It is the fulfillment of an esoteric riddle. The prophecy, like many in the occult tradition, did not lie. It simply obscured its truth behind symbol and paradox. The tale echoes the classic tension of esotericism, that foreknowledge does not equate to power, that no matter how learned, how gifted, or how connected to the hidden currents of the cosmos one becomes, there are limits. And these limits often come not as punishment, but as part of a greater cosmic architecture, a fate woven through language, archetype, and the inescapable precision of divine paradox. In mystical traditions, from Gnosticism to Hermeticism, death is not always an end, but a veil, a gate to transformation. Gerbert's passing at the threshold of Jerusalem can thus be seen not just as fulfillment of prophecy, but as initiation, his final rite in a life lived between the sacred and the forbidden. Perhaps in death, Gerbert finally transcended the dichotomy of priest and sorcerer, scientist and heretic. He became what all true seekers must eventually become, a mystery. Gerbert of Aurillac, Pope Sylvester II, left behind more than political decrees or theological treatises. His legacy is a veiled manuscript, written partly in ink, partly in myth, and in large part in the language of the initiated. To the official annals of history, he was a scholar, a reformer, a pope ahead of his time. But in the esoteric current, he is something far more profound, a liminal figure suspended between light and shadow, science and sorcery. Historians credit him with reintroducing the astrolabe, the abacus, and the Arabic numeral system to Europe. Yet surrounding these advancements are the spectral whispers of hidden knowledge, knowledge said to have come from Saracen sages, ancient manuscripts, and conversations with intelligences not of this world. In the occult lexicon, Gerbert assumes the role of the magus, the archetype of the enlightened transgressor. He is akin to Hermes Trismegistus, Prometheus, or Faust, a figure who dares to steal fire from the heavens. His is the perennial struggle, not between good and evil, but between sanctioned truth and forbidden wisdom. The very accusation of necromancy against him, of crafting a talking head, of seeking prophecies beyond the veil, reveals more about the collective fear of hidden forces than it does about Gerbert himself. He is the symbol of what happens when man peers too far into the mechanism of the divine. Within mystical traditions, Gnostic, Hermetic, Rosicrucian, Gerbert is not vilified, but venerated as one who saw the sacred geometry beneath the surface of Scripture. He personifies the esoteric axiom, as above, so below. His tale reminds us that knowledge, especially knowledge that transforms, always comes at a cost. But there is another, subtler interpretation whispered in closed circles, that Gerbert's rise to the papacy was not despite his occult affiliations, but because of them. That his knowledge of the stars, numbers, and spiritual machinery made him not a heretic, but a custodian of a deeper current within the Church. A hidden line of transmission that stretches through time, encoded in symbol, ritual, and silence. In the end, Gerbert's story is not simply about death, prophecy, or mechanical marvels. It is a living parable, a mirror held to every seeker who has ever dared to ask, what lies beyond the veil of sanctioned truth? And more dangerously, what price would you pay to see it? In this light, Pope Sylvester II becomes more than man, more than myth. He becomes a cipher, a guardian, an eternal question cloaked in the robes of history. So, did Pope Sylvester II truly consort with spirits, or construct a prophetic automaton whispered to speak with uncanny knowledge? Was it necromancy, or simply science too advanced for its time? The historical trail is thin. Fragmented parchment, cryptic chronicles, and the soft murmur of suppressed memory. But legends like these do not persist by accident. They resonate because they speak to something deeper, our collective awe and unease before the mysteries that linger beyond the veil. Gerbert's story is not just about a single man. It is an allegory, a mirror held to our own struggle with forbidden wisdom, sacred technology, and the thin, quivering line between the divine and the damned. Within the tale of Sylvester II, we glimpse the archetype of the eternal seeker, the magus, the rebel, the guardian of the threshold. He walks ahead of his age, not to dominate it, but to remind us that enlightenment without reverence becomes hubris, and power without wisdom consumes its wielder. Whether fact, folklore, or forgotten truth, his legacy persists like a cipher, etched into the fabric of esoteric history, waiting still to be deciphered by those with eyes to see and hearts unafraid to peer into the dark. Thank you for stepping with us into this forgotten chamber of time. If you found yourself stirred by the hidden threads we uncovered, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. The hidden essence